Welcome to The Dish with David, serving up piping hot news and tips for actors, all from the comfort of Mighty Tripod Acting Studio here in Seattle, in case that wasn't clear, in the Pacific Northwest. This is a framing test. So I have a mark on the floor. I'm moving that a little bit, and now I need to go and check the frame. Go watch a video to see where I'm sitting in the frame. I want to be in a medium shot, which is waist to top of head with a little bit of headroom, a medium shot or closer. Let's see. Framing test number 2. This is framing test number 2. I'm in the same spot on the floor because the floor is marked. And I've raised my light stand a bit to bring the vertical height of the smartphone up. Yeah, this video is going to be about lighting, but I put some powder on because I'm in front of lights, you know? Quite a few lights. A little unusual to have this much light here and nothing up there because this is self-taping. Whenever you are in front of the camera, if you're hired for an acting job, I would say 9 times out of 10, you're gonna have makeup applied to your face. Either you will do it yourself or you're gonna have a makeup artist do that for you. So in a lot of cases anyway, I'm not that way. A lot of times I put on a bit of powder before I self-tape. Okay, back to business. Our studio that I share the studio with my better half, Angela DeMarco, who's an awesome actor, educator, etc., etc., etc. We are in the Georgetown neighborhood of Seattle, right off of I-5, and about 5 minutes south of downtown Seattle. This video will be primarily about self-tape lighting. This video is going to complement our Self-Tape Academy, which is a 5-week virtual course that we teach at Mighty Tripod Acting Studio. And I want to talk about lighting first and foremost because, in my opinion, in our opinion, it is the first and most important investment you make in your self-tape studio. I'm going to talk a little bit, well, you saw me talk about makeup, right? I talked a bit about that very briefly. You'll also hear me talk about backdrops or what's going on behind me, all right? Right now, this is a seamless paper backdrop. It's a dark gray, all right? I'm gonna get nerdy. I got my tape measure out. Did I put it away? No, I did. But imagine, tape measure. I'm into it, so I don't wanna go get it. I'm about 4 feet away from my lights and my light stand, the ring light camera, and I'm about 2.5 feet away from this here. Okay, I can't quite, the stuff over here, it's out of my arm's reach, but it's close enough that I know it's picking up great audio, okay? Backdrop, all right. Let's just get into the backdrop real quick because we can just talk about that and move right on to lighting and focus on that. Now you see this is a dark gray. You might not be able to see, but this is on a very large stand that's hanging like 3 different backdrop rolls of paper. You're probably not going to invest in that, but you could. That could be something you can do. There are also backdrop stands where you can hang things like fabric backdrops. And one thing that I find very convenient is a collapsible backdrop. I'm going to bring that in right now. Boop, boop. Now, I can still stand in front of it, and you immediately can probably see a difference. I'm not looking at the video, of course. I am using the rear-facing camera, so I'm not watching myself as I'm recording this video. But I do know how I'm framed because I did some tests. And now you can see what it looks like where you have a much lighter background or backdrop color, all right? I was gonna point out one more thing. Oh yeah, so this is a collapsible backdrop on a stand. And by collapsible, I mean you can collapse it and it turns into this shape and it comes in a bag and you can put it away. You don't always have to have it standing up. I find this kind of thing pretty convenient. You can attach it to a stand horizontally. You can also turn it vertical. They're usually about 4 by 6 feet. All right, so that's an option. We're gonna talk about that much more in the Self-Tape Academy, but just know you're gonna have a lot of options for backdrops or backgrounds, and in many cases, using a neutral colored wall, like something in your home, that's maybe white, off-white, light gray, any kind of color that's not too jarring or too dramatic will be great for your self-tape, okay? All right, now when I first invested in this collapsible backdrop thing, I got the blue-gray combo. And when self-taping really started making its rounds and becoming super popular, blue was kind of in vogue, so to speak. But now blue is kind of losing favor, and I have other videos about that on this YouTube channel, and I don't want to get into it too much here. But for the most part, we tend to recommend gray and white or off-white. Okay, stand by and we'll talk about lighting. Yes, I know, I said blue. Blue isn't used very often anymore, and it's true. It's true. Blue is not used all that often, but it's here, so I'm showing it to you. Reminder, 3 lights, ring light right there around the smartphone, 2 box lights. So these box lights I've recently purchased, and I grabbed them because remote controls, you can adjust the color temperature, and a couple other things that I found that were kind of interesting. The first thing I want to show you is because they have a dimmer ability, right now I have made that light quite a bit darker. I've lowered the intensity. So now I am assuming that the video looks a little bit different, especially on my face. Now, for the most part, self-taping, when it comes to lighting, you want to be well lit. They need to see you and they need to hear you, okay? So having full lights everywhere might get the job done. But you may want to explore, what does it feel like when one of the lights is a bit dimmer than the other? Just play with it, see what appeals to you, okay? Now, you can go even further and say things like, well, what do things look like with none of the box lights turned on? Probably a bit too stark. What do things look like with one of the lights on and one of the lights off? What do things look like if I'm angling my face away from the lights, or if I'm angling towards the light and turning this way? What are things going to look like if I move the box lights around? Now, because this is clear, if my cell phone, my smartphone, is on a stand with the ring light, that's going to be right there the whole time. And for the most part, this is what I'm going to recommend. And because a lot of times people come to our studio or to the academy and they already have a ring light, which is fine. But we usually find that unless you add a ring light, or you're using a ring light with other lights like room lights or window light or other box lights, that just having a ring light alone might not be enough to power your scene. It might not give you enough light volume. I will mention that this is an 18-inch ring light. The brand is Neewer, maybe, or Newer, N-W-E-W-E-R. Say that 5 times. Let's demo just a few other things and show you maybe what other lighting setups might look like if we leave the ring light where it is and just move the box lights around a little bit, okay? I'm gonna turn them back on so they're both on. Maybe, that's fun. All right, I need to get to know these remote controls a little bit. There we go. So now both lights are on, and I'm just gonna move the box lights, okay? Stand by. New lighting position for the box lights. They are no longer over there, now they are over here, right? So the lights are both 90 degrees off of the center axis. Before, they were both about 30 degrees off of the center axis. Now they're both 90 degrees off the center axis, one on each side. I believe they're both on full power. But let's just see what things look like with ring light, and then I'm just gonna add room lights. Stand by. Back to this gray. Now, my assumption is that now that this gray is here and there's so much more light in the room, that the scene is now it's just lit more. What's behind me is not gonna feel or seem so dark, and the image will just look a bit different. The last thing I'll try here is I'm just gonna crank up the intensity of this ring light. If I can find the knob, there we go. And now it is turned all the way up. It is so bright that it is on the verge of making my eyes hurt a little bit, but that's another thing you can explore. We encourage you, of course, to explore, and then if you're in the Self-Tape Academy, or if you're here on YouTube, ask questions. If you need more help than what I can offer here on the channel through comments, contact me for coaching. I love helping actors, I love acting, I love lights, I love cameras, I love photography, I love video, and I like making videos as well. So keep in touch, enjoy your self-tape setup, and break a leg at your next audition. Cheers.